funny thing is, as a kid, almost as long as I can remember, I had a sort of entrepreneurial zeal in me. I remember being, I don't know, 8 or 9, and I was picking raspberries and selling them, or rather got other kids to pick the raspberries, and I had a little stand set up on the street corner selling them. And then when I was a bit older, I went to jumble sales, you know, like today's car boot sales, and I'd be queuing up to be the first one in, and I'd be looking for any jewellery I could find, silver or gold, to buy. And I'd be back there, the last one in, buying all the Penguin books and actually selling those to a book dealer. So all my life I've sort of had some sort of entrepreneurial zeal. I'm not quite sure where it came from, because neither of my parents were in business or entrepreneurial, but I think it's just something I was lucky enough to be born with. I mean, in many ways, I think being an entrepreneur is a lot easier today, or a lot more friendly culture towards entrepreneurs than it was when I was growing up. I mean, nobody even talked about entrepreneurs, talked about business. But actually then, business was almost like a bad word. You know, if you're really bright, you went to work in the civil service or somewhere. A bit less bright, you went to work in professions. You know, then industry and sort of business or sales was sort of a poor relation to it, I think. And I think people like Richard Branson, I think things like Young Enterprise in schools has actually really, Dragon's Den, all these things have actually really put the lights on entrepreneurs. And I think loads of young kids now want to go and run their own business and get into it. You know, in a way, I suppose it's probably Thatcher with a £40 a week enterprise allowance started helping it. But no, I mean, I would encourage anybody, particularly they're young and they've got nothing to lose, just to get up and do it. Nike, just do it. No, I mean, I think when I left school, my first job was working as a door-to-door salesman, selling fire extinguishers, and literally I had a briefcase, a can of petrol, set fire to the petrol in the briefcase, put it out again with a fire extinguisher, and say, buy one of those. There's a guy running that business who's, you know, who sort of taught me a lot about entrepreneurism. It's a very good way. I'd encourage anybody to go door-to-door selling. It teaches you how to sell. Perhaps even more importantly, it teaches you rejection, because you know 99 people say no to you, but the one that says yes means, you know, you can actually make a lot of money, and then you're much more careful the way you ask people. You don't waste door to knock on, and taught me a lot of lessons, particularly about how to deal with rejection. Well, after I went to university, I took a gap year when I was selling my fire extinguishers. Then I went to university. When I was at university, with my first grant check, I bought a load of records. And that was absolutely awful. I was very unsuccessful. I bought all the wrong records. But I also found when I was there that actually a load of students like me were living in new halls residence with bare breeze block walls and wanted posters. At the time, actually, a lot of the record companies were producing really cool posters. So I started going in. You're supposed to buy 100 records, take one poster for your wall. I started going in, buying 10 records and taking 50 posters. And then I'd be buying them off the guys who were fly posting. I'd be getting them from record companies, end up publishing our own ones, build up into quite a big business. And then, you know, the Happy Mondays, the Stone Roses were happening in Manchester. We did deals with them. We did deals with Factory. And actually, so I was then supplying posters to HMV, to Virgin, shipping them all around the world. But the real money was in retail. And, you know, a poster, you'd export it, you get 50p for it. If you wholesaled it, you get £1, but if you retailed it, you get £3. So I wanted to get a shop. And I saw in Affleck's Palace this amazing place that James and Elaine had set up, full of entrepreneurs. And they were dealing with the people very differently than the conventional property industry was. You know, conventional property, you had to go and sign a 25-year lease. They wanted to see your accounts. They wanted to understand your covenant. Yeah, I thought covenant was somewhere nuns lived. Didn't know if I had a good one or a bad one. Didn't quite understand what they were asking me. And so I loved Affleck's, and I got a very small shop there. But because somebody else was already selling posters, I was only allowed to sell postcards. But I still tried that and saw it. But then I hassled them and hassled them and hassled them, and eventually I got 6,000 square feet next door, which was owned by a predecessor to Brentwood, effectively. And the tenant before me had been Georgie Best, had been empty for 20 years. And I rented it for very little money. It's actually too big to sell the posters in, just the posters. So I started subletting it to all sorts of weird and wonderful people. Dave Mallon was one of my first tenants, selling jeans, selling records, selling condoms, tattooists, all sorts of weird and wonderful things. I ended up making more money from subletting the space than I did from selling the posters. And so I then went to Liverpool and bought a building called the Liverpool Palace. Did the same thing there really, except a space upstairs, which I turned into a series of managed offices, workspaces, filled out with designers, with graphic designers, with bands, with the farm in there, Oceanic, the Lars. And one night I remember there were 3 bands on top of the Pops, all with offices in the same building, and began to create a sense of community. We opened the first bar in the building, and began to make something really quite exciting and something happening. People always ask me which is my favourite project or what I'm proudest, always project I'm proudest of. My answer is always the same, it's the next one, yeah?